Let's go over cutting today. We are going to be making a wallet type folio, and we're going to be using black cardstock as the bases on Paul Ford's Wallet Style Tutorial Part 1. He has a list of the cuts we're going to make. Now some of you got tuxedo color paper and some of you got a blacker paper. Either one will work. The tuxedo paper actually has a little bit of an advantage in that it has a 1/4 inch extra, and there are 2 sheets of paper here that are a little bit longer. So, but it's luck of the draw which one you got. So I'm going to use regular 8.5 by 11, and I'm just going to sit here and cut it out and talk to you a little bit while I do it. When you use a trimmer, there is a little ridge along the top, and that's what keeps your paper straight. There's a bar that you can hold down so that your paper doesn't shift, and there's a blade that slides. It's much easier than using scissors. Now, we've already learned how to cut our chipboard, and we've cut 2 pieces of 7 11/16 and 6 11/16. And then we cut one 7 11/16 by 7/8. Now the top flap of cardstock is 7.5 by 6.5. It's a base. I'm not sure if you need that page. Let me see, I gave you 12 pieces. So if let's count, we need 3 here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Those 2 can probably be made in the same one. These 2 could be made in the same one, 12. So I think I'm going to skip this base because we're using black cardstock, and I'm not sure about the top flaps, so we're going to cut those last. So for the waterfall, we need 3 pieces that are 6.5 by 6.5. Let's start with that. So we find your 6.5 line, and it's right about, on mine, it's right on the edge here for 6.5. I'm going to put this in my discard pile, but keep it because smaller pieces can be used from it. So this is a 6.5 inch square. And I'm going to need 2 of them. I like to cut from the bottom. I'm going to check off that I have those. Oh, I need 3. So this is my waterfall. My next one is just a little band, and it's 1 1/4 inch wide. It says by desired length, and it doesn't really matter how wide it is or how long it is, but I'm putting it on the 1 1/4 mark for the width, making sure it's straight on the line. And that's my little band for the waterfalls. And putting a little check mark. Remember, this says 8 5/8 by 6.5 big paper, and I'm not making the top halves yet. So this one's going to be a hold. Might go back to that first one, but the middle flaps, we need 2 of them, and they're 7.5 by 7.5. So this time I go 7, halfway across. I know it's boring to watch someone do this, but in a way, if you're watching a video and you want to do it with me, you can do it and pause it as you go along. Okay, the gatefold, I need 2 pieces that are 6.5 wide and 4 5/8. I can get this all from 1 piece. So if I cut the long way at 6.5, I now cut 4 5/8. So go to the half line and 2 little lines after, right before the 3/4 there. So I need 2 of these, 4 5/8. These are also going to be scored. We'll do that in the next video. But I'm keeping them in the order of the list, except my star ones here that I haven't made yet. I want to make sure you have enough fabric or enough stuff. Now I need 8 7/8 by 4 inches. Okay, here we go again with the problem of 8 7/8. I'm just doing 8.5 and making my pouch just a little smaller. I'm wondering if I'm going to put that there for now. This is a 4-inch one. I'm going to put a question mark by it. I know I've already made this once, but I don't remember. But I put a question mark because regular paper is 8.5 by 11, but paper in Great Britain is 8 5/8. Okay, my next one I need is 7 7/16 by 5, and we only need 1. So let's do 5 inches. Again, I'm always lining it up toward the top, and I like to pull up the top. And then 7 7/16. So 7.5 and 3 little teeny lines after that is 7/16. And that's my top flap. Next we need triangle pockets. And it's, oh no, top flap. Okay, we did that. Triangle pockets are 4 3/4 square. Well, this paper looks big enough to be a 4 3/4 square. So whenever you can, use from your scrap pile, 4 3/4. And we only need 2 of these, and we're going to line it up at a diagonal right in the groove for cutting. Make sure it stays straight. If you hold down this and start, there we go. Start not outside because that might buckle it, but start in a little bit and go up and down. You'll get your triangles. So I have 2 triangles. Then I need pockets, 4 3/4, and move back slightly to make it a tiny bit shorter than 3.5. So we need a 3.5 inch paper. 3.5. This is slightly smaller, bit shorter. So I'm going to go right about just a smidgen there. And then they are 4 3/4. 4 3/4. These are for little pockets. And I only made 1, so let's do that again. How about doing it this way? 4 3/4. And then 3.5, and one little, not even a line before it. That should fit. Let's see if they're the same size. Yep, there's our two little pockets. Okay, and the last one is a big one, 6 by 6.5. So that will take a full sheet. So let's go 6.5 inches. And this is a big photo mat. This is about the only picture. 6.5 by 6. That would be larger than a 4 by 6 on your album. Okay, let's see what we have left. We have, oh, we're doing good. All right, let's go back to the beginning. The very first base was 7.5 by 6.5. Now you might find you don't use this, but 7.5, doing the long end, by 6.5. Now I want you to put this on the very bottom of the pile. It was the first cut we should have done, but I was afraid of having enough. And the only two we don't have are 6.5 by 8 5/8. And it looks like we have enough paper, so I'm going to do 6.5 the long way. And this way is double checking it, 8 5/8. So two little lines after the half. Okay, and I need two of those. So I thought you might need a 12 by 12 paper to get this. But since it's narrower than 8 5/8, we can fit it with the paper we planned. So 8 5/8. Now, what are we going to do with all these papers? My recommendation to you is do not discard any of them. We are going to be making a 3.5 by 5.5 inch book, and so we can get pages out of this, and it's an 8-page book, and you have, I'm not sure, I thought I counted this right, so you have some extra paper that we can make pages from, but don't discard any of your little. Okay, so our next step will be on another video. I'm going to just turn my pile over, and I'm going to show you each page where to score these papers. Some of them are scored. You're going to need a tool. You can use the same machine, the cutter tool, to use to do your scoring, or you can use a scoring board. I'll do both on the video to show you the difference. But you need some type of sharp point that will fit into a groove. It can be a tool like this, or it can be a bone folder, or it can be something, household item that you have. So we'll talk about that later. But I will print this guide out, and this will be in your kit on the sizes you have to cut out to start with. So that's how you cut with a paper trimmer. And this is the base. This is all of your album. Thank you. Have fun cutting.